My name is Ying Cong, one of the co-founders of Glints. So I co-founded Glints. It's a recruitment platform. About 11 years ago by now, I dropped out of school to start this company. I think I've not been very suited for a job. I tried when I was doing internships before university, right? But I always been interested in starting my own thing, doing my own thing. So I ordained as a monk for 2 weeks when
Ordained as a monk?
Yeah, like a novice monk in Malaysia.
How old were you?
I was 10. Yeah,
young?
P4. Yeah.
And
Yeah, so that's something I didn't realize back then, because when you're in school, you are just taught to work hard, and if you work hard, the results will come because everyone's on the same path. But in real life, it's like you can pick a different path, and for a different path, you give the same amount of effort, you can get a lot more results. I was studying at UPenn, University of Pennsylvania,
in US?
in the US.
And at which year did you drop out of school?
I dropped out in the first year. In fact, after the first quarter. Okay, back then I was actually on a scholarship, which is what funded me to go to university.
I see.
Yeah, but I tried it, right? And I talked to people who took on their scholarships, and they told me about how, after 3-4 years, you feel like you're trapped into this path.
So you spoke to people who have graduated from the program.
Yeah.
How did you find them?
LinkedIn. I asked around my seniors from school. So there are two groups of people, right? When I went out and speak to them, one is people who really enjoyed their path, or rather they are sure that this is the path for them. And when I speak to them and I figure out what they're doing, I realize, hey, this doesn't sound very interesting to me, right? And then there was another group of people who are maybe a little dissatisfied, right? They figure out this is not quite the role for them, but they are trapped in for a good 6 years. The good thing was I only did 1 quarter, so I had to pay back, but it wasn't astronomical. I think it was in the 30 to 40K if I did it after 4 years, right? Because they compound the interest.
Oh, there is interest.
There's interest, yeah. There's interest too. They pay for your rent as well as your food and everything. It would have amounted to close to $1 million. My dad paid for it back then, and then I paid him back over the years. I would be very much an investment professional by now. But I most likely will be like a VP or investment.
And you've been making good money, right?
Decent, yeah. I think it's very different, the financial profile of a company, right? You start off, you pay very little, right? And then when your company goes public and eventually, that's where the financial outcome happens. So the original idea for Glints is meant to stand for Global Internship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was our very, very first vision. Okay. But of course, the vision changes when your company grows, right? Yeah. So we just combine it and it becomes Glints, and like right now it's just a name. So one is you get a full set of solutions for hiring, right? So if you just need to hire a mass, easy to hire for a position, right? You can just post a job on a platform. If you need someone that's a bit harder to find, then you can engage our headhunters.
Okay.
Then if you need to hire overseas, right, which is another layer of complexity, like you want to build a whole team overseas, we can do that for you through the third business.
Okay.
So one of it is that we offer that full suite.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the company matured, we expanded into a few different business lines. So one was the original platform business, the job portal, right? Then we also started a headhunting business. It's like two different industries. So one is just a website. The companies pay to post a job posting. And then headhunting is where you actually engage a recruiter. You say, hey, I have this role that's very difficult to find. Even if I post on JobStreet, I can't find the right person.
Okay.
So it might be a leadership manager role.
Okay.
Then they will approach us and we will find a recruiter to assign to this person.
You find a recruiter.
We hire, the recruiters are under our payroll.
Okay.
But we will assign it to a client.
Okay.
And then this recruiter will help you to talk to candidates, source for profiles, arrange for interviews, and sell the candidate on the job. Yeah. Actually, we had a third business line that we actually started also. So we call that the cross-border hiring. So it's usually when a company from one country wants to hire employees in another country, but they don't have the legal entity to do that.
Okay.
So they will hire through us. Two main things, right? So one is a shared direction, and then the shared values. Yeah. So think of it like you are like two partners going on a travel, right? On a road trip. So you both have to agree first that you are going to the same direction, same place, and same destination, right? And then the second thing is the values, right? Do you fundamentally believe in certain core values, right? So there are a few things, right? One is how do you treat people? What's the value of people within a company? Because we see a range of that, right? Certain companies, they see employees as a cog in the machine, right? And there are very successful companies doing that, right? But then there are other companies, they think that people is a core of the business, right? So we have to first align on that, right? Then what's the value of where's the value of honesty? How do you treat, how direct do you want to be in a relationship? Because there are some relationships which are more indirect, that they beat around the bushes a little bit, and it can still work if both partners agree that that's the way to operate. Yeah, so a shared destination and a shared core values. Our last round was a D round, so it did 4 rounds. And then before that, a seed round. So 5 rounds altogether.
5 rounds.
Yeah.
The first round is a 50K. Can I say?
Yeah, correct.
The next one, when we came back.
When we came back, and then we operated the business for like a good 1 to 2 years. It was in the low millions.
Low millions.
Yeah.
It was really million already.
Yeah, it was in the millions. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we were not generating enough revenue yet. But we were growing the numbers. Okay. So it was like employer numbers and also number of jobs and number of candidates. I think by the second round it was already majority.
So
sure.
Now do you own like a tiny piece or how?
Yeah, like a pretty tiny piece.
How tiny is tiny? I mean,
around 10%.
Each of you.
Yeah, each of us. So there's also a ESOP pool that we reserve for employees.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so that's around another 10 to 20%.
What do you call this again?
ESOP pool, like a
SOP.
ESOP.
What does it stand for?
Employee stock options.
Okay.
Yeah, stock options pool. Yeah. It is a very high risk bet. So like the kind of go big or go home kind of a model. But we were starting in Southeast Asia, right, where this is a less saturated market, and we were also not strictly in really like B2C, right, like Facebook or Tinder. Like this kind of is very, very high variability. For us, we're doing jobs, which was like a more
B2B.
It's a bit B2B, right? And also jobs is a need that a lot of people need. For the platform business, we cover a little bit of the low entry white collar, all the way to mid-level white collar, right? And also blue collar, we do cover that a little bit. We call it blue and pink collar, pink being like the service industry, F&B and so hospitality.
And the headhunting much higher.
Yeah, like at least two years experience to 10 years experience. It's not in the explicit plans at the moment. So, I mean, for us, we really is just focusing on the business fundamentals, getting it to be generating cash flow healthily on a sustainable basis. Then we can think about all these other options. Back then, we wanted to list it, right? Because we thought it was a milestone, it is a crowning achievement of an entrepreneur, and also that's where you make the big bucks. But as we mature along the way, we see different companies have different outcomes, and we learn more about the capital markets. We realize actually it's a much more nuanced picture, right? First of all, it is a very low probability that you get the list. But the bar is very high. The bar is very high, especially if depends on where you want to list.
Sorry, the bar is very high, what do you mean?
So if you want to list in NASDAQ or NYSE, right, you have to be clearing at least like 100 million, right, in annual revenue, and 25 mil at least, right, in net profit. And that was a few years back. Because there are there are a few different reasons for why companies want to list, right? So the main reason from a corporate perspective is you want to gain access to a huge capital market, right? Access to funds and access to loans and capital, right? But in Singapore, that is a very illiquid market, right? So if you list here, it doesn't necessarily fulfill that outcome. And I know a few companies that do like M&A to bulk out the revenue so that they could eventually list, right? But for us, that's not the goal. We want to grow it in a very sustainable manner, like actual revenues from the core business. Running a public company is also a different beast altogether, right? You have a lot more stakeholders to deal with. The levels of overhead, right, just to maintain this kind of reporting, right, and governance is also much higher. So you are taking attention away from the core business. Yeah. So we didn't think about it. We didn't feel that it's necessary unless we really need access to that amount of capital, and the capital is a core part of the strategy. Yeah. But for us right now, it's not really. Right now, it's about getting it to be a lean and healthily growing business. Get the fundamentals right first before doing anything fancy. So what I mean by that specifically is making sure that your unit economics is positive.
Sorry, your?
Unit economics.
Unit economics, what do you mean by that?
Meaning for every customer you pay to bring in,
Okay.
you're making more money than than your operation. So for our business, it's a little bit more complex because it's a two-sided marketplace.
Yes.
So you need to calculate the cost of acquiring a company, a cost of acquiring like 10 candidates to apply for that job, and then you divide it based on the revenue that the company pays you. Yeah, so that's a very simplified model because some of them pay, some of them don't pay. So you need to sort of get an average of that. Okay. And then you have the operational cost of servicing them. So one is get the fundamentals right.
Oh, get the fundamentals. Okay.
The second one is, I would say, choose the right market.
Choose right. Okay.
Yeah, because in the early days we chose a very, very small market, which is Singapore, and we also chose markets like internships where there isn't much money to be made. So you just spend a lot of effort just trying to make something. It's sort of like you spend a lot of effort looking for water in the desert, right? Whereas if you just take a plane and fly to the sea, right, it's everywhere, right? Same thing for markets. Few things. So one is making sure you have a scalable way of acquiring customers.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know where to go to get your customers in a repeatable manner. We didn't know that in the beginning. So first of all, that entails knowing who your customers are. We didn't know that in the beginning. It was very fuzzy, right? And then the other one is retaining your customers. So solving their problems well enough that they retain. This is something we didn't do too well in the beginning. So they were leaking out like crazy. And after that, after you've solved this core problem, right, which is what we call product market fit, then it's the fundamentals of company building. So it's like hiring the right people. Not hiring too quickly, only spending on the absolute necessities. It is never easy. This is like a big problem, especially for startups because you are not a well-known brand. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to have a philosophy of what kind of people you need to hire, right? So first of all, you need to know what your values are, what kind of people you want to bring in, and what kind of people you want to keep out, right? And then you need to have sort of a repeatable structure for finding and filtering for these kind of people, right? Yeah. So most of us, and back then when we first started, we didn't have a process. We just talk to candidates, and we feel like we jive, then we bring them in, right? But then as a company scales, you need to have some form of process. Yeah. We have a board that we consult for big strategic decisions. But along the way, we bring in more senior executives, and they also bring in these kind of perspectives. Yeah. Yeah, I would say regret, not in the sense that I had known better. Like all the mistakes I made was because I didn't know better, right? But things it's usually around people, right? Yeah, hiring the wrong people, not paying enough attention to certain crucial details, right? So one of it is like managing costs better, keeping a tighter eye on costs. Actually, that would be the third advice I would give to my younger self, right? Which is figure out what you actually want, and work backwards from there, and not what society wants you to want.
So what do you want for yourself?
So over the years, I figured out what I really enjoy. The part that really gives me joy is the act of creation, right? And discovering secrets. I call them secrets, but these are like insights about the market, about your customers, about the business. And then the third thing is connection, right? Connection to my employees, connection to my customers. These are the three things that gives me a lot of joy,
So
right?
creating stuff,
Creation, insights,
of the business,
yeah,
of industry.
of industry, and connection. I would say I'm the most Buddhist in the family.
Most Buddhists.
Yeah. I remember when I was 10, my uncle introduced me to meditation.
Okay.
By saying that I could see my past lives if I tried meditation. So he introduced me to that. I did it for like a good 10 minutes, and I was sweating like crazy, and I couldn't see anything. But that got me interested in it. So I would say I've always maintained quite a healthy distance from the business, from what I do, the career I have. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still put in a lot of energy into it. I still want to make it successful, right? But when things inevitably go wrong, I recognize that it's not fully within my control. It's called a meditation retreat. It actually gives me a lot of clarity.
Clarity?
Clarity, yeah.
About what?
About what's important in life. Because every time before I leave, my mind would be so muddled and caught up in the minutiae of like stresses at work. I'll be stressing about, I need to get this done, I need to hire that person, be worrying about this and that. But when you do that, you go for these kind of retreats. The first day when you go in, your mind will be all over the place. You'll be suffering, right? You can't get the mind to settle down. You'll be wondering, what am I doing here when there's so much more important things to be done out there in the world.
That's the first day, yeah?
That's the first day,
okay,
right?
The second day?
Second day, you start to get more into the rhythm, right? The mind starts to quieten down. And then the third day is usually when the mind flips and it realizes, hey, actually this is the most important thing I could be doing right now. When your mind quietens down, surprisingly, where it starts to gravitate to is like loving kindness, self-compassion, things that is like cliche, but you just never really have the space to absorb this importance. So like I remember the first time when I came back, I realized that my parents' lives are very short, right? I'm not going to spend a lot more time with them. So I decided to deepen my relationship with them, spend more time with them. That was the first one. And then the second one, it was more around being compassionate to myself, right? There's like a self that's always pushing for achievement, right? But it comes at the price of your mental health, it comes at the price of physical health. Like one thing that frequently happens when you run a company is people come and people go, right? It's some people that you spend a lot of effort trying to hire, after a few months they decide it's not for them, so they leave. Or people that you work with for many, many years, and when they decide to leave, it's always a little bit heartbreaking, right? But one of the Buddhist tenets is that everything is temporary, right? So people come together and people leave, and you are more equanimous about such happenings.